right, guys. Thank you guys for having me. Oh, Nathan, are you ready? Just curious.
It's rolling.
All right, cool.
We're good to go.
First off, I wanted to just thank you guys for having me. I don't know if your teacher had mentioned, but I saw this organization on Instagram, and I was like, wow, I think this guy is doing some amazing work. And I'm like, I wish this was a club when I was going to school. And so when I heard about it, I reached out to Mr. Stouffer. Is that how you say your last name?
Close enough.
And I was just like, hey, if you need a speaker, I'm up for it. I already do over 100 talks in Montgomery County. I go to high schools, middle schools, elementary schools. I go to private schools, and I talk all over the place about different topics. Sometimes I talk about bullying. Sometimes I talk about entrepreneurship. But I'm really glad to be speaking about something so I'm passionate about. And I guess this is an entrepreneurship club?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? All right, cool. So you guys are all thinking about starting your own business one day, possibly? Maybe, kind of. Raise your hand if your parents have started their own business before. Wow, that's amazing. Wow, that's like over 50%. Put that in your hands. Thank you. I appreciate that. So today I'm really here to just be here for you guys. I am here to tell you some really interesting stories about my life and where I came today. My presentation is called Making Lemonade, and I hope you guys really enjoy it.
We're going to have some lemonade?
So oh yeah, that would be cool, right? The old saying goes, when life gives you lemons,
Spoil your eyes.
You make lemonade.
you make lemonade, right? So that's the old saying, right? So my life pretty much from start to finish begins that way. I've been doing martial arts for over 23 years. My mom forced me to do karate a long time ago. Raise your hand if your mom or dad ever made you do something you didn't want to do. Thank you. I think that's all of us, right? Put down your hands. But this is like one of those things that like changed my life forever. I think if my mom didn't force me into karate, I probably wouldn't even be in front of you right now. It like changed everything for me. I have my own karate studio called Pandas Karate. I don't know if you guys ever heard of it. AJ was actually one of my amazing championship karate fighters. He can tell you that all next time. But what I love about teaching karate is that I get to do something that is fun. And so when I go to my job, it doesn't feel like a job. It feels fun. Since then, I've been featured on Fox 5 News. I've been on Montgomery County TV channel. I've been in newspapers. I even have a podcast show now. And I was offered to be part of a video game.
Did you do it?
But I can't just talk about that because that's who I am right now. In order to understand who I am right now, we got to go back to the very beginning of when I was growing up right here in Gaithersburg. See, I learned a really interesting word called work. Work was a word that was very interesting to me growing up as a kid. Fresh out of college, my dad had to immediately get a job as a salesman, and I was just newly born. My mom, she had to get 2 jobs. She had to clean houses, and at night she would work as a waitress at a Mexican restaurant. So it's not that we grew up poor, because I never liked using that word, but we grew up broke. And what broke meant to me was when my mom and dad got divorced, eventually my mom, she couldn't afford me, my brother and sister our own beds. All she could afford was one mattress. And so me, my brother and sister grew up sleeping on one bed. When I got new clothes for school, my mom actually would bring them in trash bags. And I'd be like, oh, cool, new clothes. But what I didn't realize is that my mom had to wake up at 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning, go to a local church in Gaithersburg, and get donated clothes for me to wear for school that week. So that's how I grew up here. And it was interesting because one of my first experiences of trying to earn money was running a lemonade stand. Raise your hand if you ever ran your own lemonade stand.
Yes.
Awesome. Put that in your hands. So I ran my own lemonade stand when I was 5 years old. That's not me, by the way. I ran my own lemonade stand at 5 years old, and I learned a really important lesson that day. I learned never run a lemonade stand in your backyard.
Oh.
I didn't do that.
You will make no money if you do that. But that day I learned that I loved money. I loved the concept of it. I understood what a dollar meant. I mean, this was something that was really cool. I mean, I started my own piggy bank that day. Raise your hand if you have a piggy bank. Thank you. Put it on your hands. To this day, you can ask my wife, I still have a piggy bank. I think it's important to save your money and save those coins. Who really taught me about work was my grandpa, though. My grandpa, he taught me everything there was about working. Now, he did come from a different generation, though. My grandpa was the kind of guy who would basically tell me, oh, it took me 15 miles just to get to school. When I would close on Easter, he would be there with the newspaper, and he'd be like, did you go to work today? And I go, yeah, Grandpa, I went to work. I went to work yesterday, but today's Easter, you know, I have to close the studio. And he'd be like, I went to work. That's just the way my grandpa was, though. My grandpa just literally pushed me and told me how important work was. The next word that really changed my life growing up was the word help. Now, I know a lot of you guys are growing up and you're becoming teenagers, and some of you guys already are, and you want to be independent, right? But at times we think we don't need help.
Pardon the interruption. I need Cornell Parker to the main office. Cornell Parker to the main office.
That's none of you guys, right? Okay, good. So, the word help meant a lot to me. I mean, when you ask for help, help is a strength. I mean, it's not a weakness. Even the co-founders of Google, I mean, they took Google as far as they could, but then when they saw that they couldn't take it any further, they actually got an outsider, a guy named Eric Schmidt, to come into Google because they needed help. They couldn't do it alone. So asking for help is a strength. When I was growing up, I actually grew up right here. I grew up in Gaithersburg, and I went to Gaithersburg Elementary School from 3rd grade and up. And then from there, I eventually went to Gaithersburg Middle School, which is really funny that I'm back here because I haven't been back here since. Out of all the talks I give in Montgomery County, this is the one school I've never been invited to. And then I actually ended up moving to Germantown, and I went to a school called Northwest High School. But while in Gaithersburg, I really had a lot of fun. There were certain instances where bad things would come up, such as bullying, or sometimes I would get like bad grades here or there, but it was a wonderful place to be a part of. I really loved Ninja Turtles growing up. Did you guys ever like Ninja Turtles?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, kind of. Oh, who's your favorite Ninja Turtle?
Raph.
Raph? Yeah.
Michelangelo.
He's pretty cool. Mikey, I like Mikey. Mikey's pretty cool.
Oh,
But I like Ninja Turtles so much that one time I did a jump front kick in my bathtub, and I slammed the tub and busted open my lip. So I do not recommend doing jump kicks in your bathtub. That is not a good idea. But my mom saw that I loved martial arts so much that she ended up putting me in martial art classes, and I started learning my very first karate moves, and it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. And it came at a perfect time because I was being bullied. If you ever were bullied, by the way, please know that it does get better, only if you tell somebody about it. My mom meant everything to me growing up. Like, I literally thought my mom could do no wrong. She was like super mom to me growing up. One day, she came up to me, my brother and sister, and she came up to us and she was like, guys, I finally saved enough money to buy our first home. Guys, I don't know if you guys didn't know this about me, but I didn't know what a house felt like. All my life, we only lived in small apartments. My bedroom at one point was a walk-in closet. That was my bedroom. So I didn't know what a house felt like. So when she told us that, guys, it was like a dream to me. Like, it was the most amazing thing possible. We moved to Germantown and ended up going to a school called Northwest High School. Have you guys ever heard of that school?
Yeah.
So Northwest during the time was really big in football. Like, they were like state champions. I don't think they're good now, but back when I was going, they were really amazing. And it was just such a great experience to be a part of it. But even though the school was really big on football, I mean, even coaches would come up to me because they saw that I was always a tall kid. They were like, man, Dan, you know, you look pretty solid. Why don't you try out for the football team?
Nope.
I don't think they realized I never touched a football in my life. I also got to be like one of the only Latinos that doesn't play soccer well. I'm really bad at soccer. So it was just not for me. So I had this thing that was going on through me in high school. How was I going to evolve as a person? What was I going to become? See, I don't know if you guys know anything about Pokemon, but there was an episode in Pokemon where Pikachu gets really beat up with this gym leader called Lieutenant Surge, and Pikachu goes to the Pokemon hospital. And while he's there, Ash decides, you know what? Okay, let's level you up. Let's make you evolve with a Thunderstone and become Raichu, so you can beat him up now, because you'll be stronger. As you know, Pikachu's still Pikachu today, so that never happened. But how was I going to evolve now at a new school? What did I want to become? Sometimes starting something new and different is really scary. I mean, it's super exciting at the same time, but once you hit that pavement, you kind of don't know what's going to happen next. You don't know if you're going to fall. You don't know if you're going to trip over a rock. You don't know if you're going to bump into someone. You don't know if you're going to be hit by a car. When you hit that pavement and start, you don't really know what's at the end of it. But that's what it means to be an entrepreneur. It means to take a risk and do something amazing. So, in high school, I had a friend. His name was Tommy. Tommy came up to me and said, Daniel, why don't you start your own club? I'm like, own club? I didn't know you could do that. And he was like, yeah, why don't you start a martial art club? I was like, I never heard of that before. I didn't realize this, but Montgomery County never had a martial art club before. So I created Montgomery County's very first martial art club in a high school. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but are you allowed to fight in schools?
No.
No. So I had a really cool principal that year, and the principal allowed me to get these people together and learn martial arts. You have a question, bud?
I have to say. I remember in 4th grade, my mom always told me if I ever got bullied, that just to fight them. I never really did fight anyone, but like that was my mom. My mom would always tell me that.
Awesome. Well, your mom is a smart woman. But I do have to say, it comes with a price, though, right? Comes with a price. So when Tommy was suggesting that to me, I had to figure out how to do it. So I printed out these black and white papers. I remember that they had like a yin-yang on it, and it said like, martial art club, meet in lab room during lunch. I posted them all over the school. And then, the next day, after posting them and it was time for my meeting, I rolled up to my meeting 5 minutes late, by the way, 5 minutes late. And I'm walking there with my backpack and I hear a lot of noise. And my sponsor, who was my science teacher, comes out and he's like, Daniel, where were you? I mean, your meeting started 5 minutes ago. I go, what? Is there anybody in there? He's like, yeah. When I walked in, guys, bodies from corner to corner were there waiting for me. People were sitting on tables, chairs. There was no room. Guys, when I walked in that room, I was scared. I was frightened. I was like, these people are here for me? What do I do? See, here's the problem, guys. Growing up as a kid, I didn't think I was a leader. I thought I was a sidekick. I didn't think I was good enough to be Batman. I was Robin. I didn't think I was good enough to be Super Mario. I was Luigi. That was me growing up. How was I going to lead now? Well, I had to do something. So I decided to put these guys together. I was a sophomore at the time when I did the club, but I was leading juniors and seniors, kids that were older than me. How was I supposed to do it? So we got together and I created this martial art club out of nothing. And it was amazing, guys. It was like the most amazing feeling ever. Like, we did international nights. We did we put together people that didn't really fit in other typical sports, and they found a home in high school. I even had girls roll up to me, and they were like, hey, do you have a girls' self-defense class? And I was like, I do now. I mean, literally, that's what happened to me in high school. So I want to fast forward now. And I graduated high school, ended up going to college. I actually almost didn't go to college. I had this really great idea to move to El Salvador, not go to college, and join a band. I'm not even Salvadorian. And it was just my crazy idea. I'm really glad I did it. My grandpa got involved and really got upset with me, and he made me go to college. So I'm glad I did. But Then 2008 happened. Do you know what happened to you guys in 2008 here in America?
I turned 3 years old.
You turned 3 years old?
I was probably.
Do you know what happened to America in 2008?
No.
Barack Obama first birthday.
Something happened. You guys lived during one of the most horrific housing bubbles ever in U.S. history.
The Great Depression.
People lost their homes everywhere around the United States. Not everybody, but the majority of people lost their homes. That big house my mom got, it was gone. It was taken away from us. My dad had a really awesome job at University of Maryland. Because people were being let go, he lost his job. I was going to school at the time for free because he worked as an employee, and I couldn't afford classes, so I had to drop out of school because I couldn't afford it. Couldn't keep going. So here I am at another fork in the road. What am I going to do? See, guys, when stuff happens to you in life, it's about making lemonade. See, I'm still that kid in the backyard trying to wait for my first customer. I'm still that 5-year-old waiting and waiting. So this issue, I was prepared for. I was ready. All I had to do is dig back into what I already learned and apply it. So I ended up becoming a preschool teacher. I started teaching kids ABCs, 1, 2, 3s. I didn't know kids didn't know how to zip up their zipper, which was really gross, and sometimes I had help. But I'm really glad I got to learn some new skills, and it was great working with children. But at the time, I really missed karate. I mean, I was still training. Like, I was always doing tournaments. I was always pushing myself. See, as a martial artist, it's not something you just do. It's a lifestyle. So I was a martial artist. That was who I was. So I had this idea. And the idea was, what if I opened up my own karate studio? Now, when I told my mom, my dad, my friends, my close friends, they all told me it was a dumb idea. They said, Daniel, this is a dumb idea. Daniel, don't do it. They said, no one's going to come to a karate studio with a panda on it. They told me, no one knows you. You're nobody in this community. Why would anybody come? They told me that in 2009, with people losing their homes and businesses, why are you going to start a new business when it is so scary to start something new? See, the thing is, it will always be scary to start something new and different. If you believe in it enough, you can try. Did you know that it took 15 years for the concept of sliced bread to become popular?
What?
Oh yeah, true story. A guy named Otto Redwetter, back in the early 1900s, he decided to create a machine that would slice bread. So how did we used to eat bread, right? We used to, well, we still do, but we bake it, and then we would take out a knife and like chop it up and then give it to our family, right? But this guy was like, you know what? Great idea, a machine that chops up pre-sliced bread. People are gonna love it.
Pre-sliced waffles.
15 years of failure. 15 years of failure. He decided that this idea was bad. Until one day, a company called Wonder Bread came up to him and decided to buy his machine and make it into what it is. Have you guys heard of Wonder Bread?
Yeah.
That bread with circles? Okay, good. So, my question to myself was, is this really what I'm supposed to do for the rest of my life? Am I supposed to teach martial arts every single day? This is supposed to be a video, but I'm not sure it's going to pop up. We'll see. It might jump. It's okay. All right. Is this what I'm supposed to do for the rest of my life? Should I just teach martial arts to kids and teens? I mean, my oldest student is 68 years old. 68 years old. And guys, he kicks like a 68-year-old, but I hope to be one day that old and continue to train. See, it's never too late to start something new and different. Do you guys like YouTubers?
Yes.
Yes. I really like this YouTuber. His name is Casey Neistat. He's a really cool guy from New York City. He's a vlogger, so he's a really cool guy. But one of the things on his one episode he had featured a quote that I was like, wow, that quote just really spoke to me. And you know what? Every time I do a talk, I really want to share it with anybody that is listening to me. And the quote that he shared was, It's not that we have a short time to live, it's that we waste a lot of it. So I asked you guys today, in your own life, how are you guys going to make your own lemonade? Thank you guys so much for having me.
Beautiful.
So I left some time on purpose because I want to answer questions that you guys have. I talked about a lot of different stories and experiences, and I love to answer anything you guys have to share.